Right. Hey guys, it's Lavetta.
And it's Miriam.
And this is the Notorious Women podcast, a comedy podcast about some of history's most notorious women.
That's
Apparently, I don't know how to speak today.
No,
I be speaking English, okay?
Listen, you communicated, and that's what language is for. So the point was given to the people. You're welcome.
It makes me think of that thing from Airplane. Stewardess, I speak jive. I mean, it's just, one of the best lines
Oh my
in
God,
cinema history.
Do you think that movie still holds up?
No, I watched it a couple years ago. I like Dumb. I love that. Naked Gun.
Yes.
Angie Tribeca. I love like dumb puns because it's so stupid. And the whole stewardess, the jive thing, like nowadays they would have think pieces on it. Like,
yes,
is
they would.
it making fun of culture? Yes, that's the whole point is that to black people it's funny because we're like, they think jive is a real different language, like Ebonics. But also this old white lady who's it Brady Bunch or who's the show she was from? And she's like, stewardess, I speak jive. That's what's so funny about it. It's got layers upon layers upon layers. You're like, jive is not real, but the fact that she's so confident that she does. And then it's just gibberish when you watch the scenes with the black male actors and it's just gibberish. But as an actor, you get it because we've all done that gibberish exercise.
Oh, yeah.
We were in acting school. And you're like, I'm impressed because I'm like, they totally held that, right? Like totally held the whole gibberish thing. Like, anyway, it's like what's his name in Snatch? Brad Pitt. Because it's all gibberish. You're like, first you're like,
you know what?
Is
I don't
he
remember
speaking
that movie.
another language? Oh my God, that movie's so good. It is so stupid.
Okay, I think I fell asleep.
Criminals.
I do love Dumb Criminals.
Brad Pitt is part of this group, and you think Americans were like, is that just a English dialect that I don't quite, like an English accent I don't understand, like it's from a specific part of England?
That's probably what I thought.
It's gibberish. It's gibberish. He's totally talking gibberish.
Yeah, no, I saw it like 100 years ago. Ago. I'm 900 years old. So that's how that worked out.
I love it. So,
but I think I vaguely fell asleep, woke up, said, "What's happening?" And they said, "Yeah, it's fine." Because I was like, am I dreaming? What's happening? I remember that actually.
I haven't seen that one in a while. I don't know if that one holds up, but it's gibberish. And I was like, is Brad Pitt just doing gibberish in a movie? Like, can you imagine getting paid millions of Brad Pitt dollars?
Right. I want Brad Pitt money to do gibberish. I could do gibberish. If anyone is out there and has millions of dollars, you could give it to me and I will do gibberish for you. Okay. You put it in film.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't have to get famous, but I would like the millions of dollars. Thank you.
Yeah, we like the money. We bring on the money. But
Christmas is coming, anyways.
Hello. Hallelujah. Yes.
Yeah.
Rain down some money, some cash.
Okay. Put it out there in the universe.
That's right. That's right. So I think let's get started because I know that you actually have a life and have somewhere to be. And I believe this week you are first, my dear. So who is your notorious woman this week? Yes, it you.
So okay. So I found this woman, the New York Times. We were talking about this. I don't remember when I was talking about this. The Overlooked series?
Yes.
So the New York Times has a bunch of obituaries that should have come out, 50 years ago, 100 years ago. But because most of them were, women, they didn't. So, yeah, okay. You see what I did there. So I found some and I went through a bunch and I found, be prepared. So this is from the New York Times, but also the Jewish Women Archive. That's where I got
okay.
today. And this woman is fascinating to me. And I'm like, is she my people? I don't know. So any Jewish woman I find fascinating. I'm like, I bet you were cousins. Okay.
You're all related. All right, Miriam.
Yeah.
I thought that was just black people. We all know each other.
Oh no, Jews too. Okay.
Oh really? Okay.
Oh yeah. If they're good, but if they're not good, you're like, no. Different line.
I don't know them.
Different line. You understand. I know you understand.
Yes. Oh yeah. Kanye's dead to me, but that's
there
a whole
you
nother
go.
story.
He's not a relative. Absolutely not a relative.
And he's still dead to me. So.
I hear you. Okay. So her name is Regina Jonas. She was born in Berlin on August 3rd, 1902. I should say her name is Regina Sarah Jonas. So she grew up in... All right, so Berlin. Okay, so German names of towns. I'm going to do my very best.
Please.
Oof.
You know you got this.
Oh, girl, I've never seen a word like this before. It's very long. Scheunenviertel. All right, you guys, if you are of German descent, I apologize. But... It was a poor, it was a crowded district, and I think it was a Jewish district. It was near the Berlin's Grand New Synagogue. So her father was Wolf and her mother was Sarah, and she had a brother named Abraham. So when she was 11, her dad died of tuberculosis, and they think that her dad was probably her very first teacher. And from very early on in her childhood, she felt called to be a rabbi. So... For those who don't know, old school Judaism does not allow women to be rabbis. Now you'll see a lot of women rabbis. But at the time, that was absolutely unheard of. Now, you could have women teachers. You could have like sages, who, wisdom from women. That was fine. But like a rabbi just did not exist. So I mean, things were starting to change, like ideas were starting to change, which is really fascinating to me that in Berlin in like the 20s and 30s, they were getting progressive.
Yeah.
So there's a quote from the New York Times. So it says, during the period when Jonas was born, German Judaism was swept up in an extraordinary period of creative ferment. Germany in the 1800s gave birth to the Jewish Enlightenment and the Reform and Modern Orthodox movements, both of which later became prominent in the United States. And that's me. Okay, so German Jews, while still barred from certain positions in German society, were far more integrated and emancipated than most of their European peers, which is fascinating to me if you think about like the lead up to World War II, which is really bad for the Jews, that actually they actually fit in even more than other parts of Europe. That's crazy.
Yeah, shout out to my friend Jenny Azulai, who informed me of that many years ago. I was like,
okay, Jenny.
Yeah.
I didn't know. Listen, Jenny knew. I didn't know. Yep. I'm learning now.
Oh, cool. She was a nice Jewish girl, so she probably was taught by a parent who taught her too much too soon.
I was taught too much too soon. I just not that.
Yeah. No, I actually think she might have studied it in college. So I was like, okay.
So yeah.
Yeah.
So because of this period where not only did she fit into society, but Judaism was progressive, there was a lot of progressive ideas. She was like, you know what? I'm going to be a rabbi. Okay. So she went to a temple that was run by some rabbis who were pretty liberal. And one of them would meet her weekly to study rabbinic literature since she was a kid. In 1923, she passed her Abitur, which is a German word, I'm sure, which is the final exam of secondary school. And the following year, she attended a teacher seminar, which allowed her to teach Jewish religion in girls' schools in Berlin. Then she went to the Academy for the Science of Judaism. It has a German name. I can't pronounce it, so I'm not gonna. Cool. So this was a seminary in the 20s. It was liberal, which allowed them to admit women. But the women who went were not planning on becoming rabbis. She was the only one who wanted to be a rabbi. She wanted, and this is fascinating for me, she didn't want to change any laws, any rules, nothing. She wanted to find within the text, within Jewish law, within, Jewish history, she wanted to use all of her knowledge to back her thesis that women actually did belong in the clergy. So she wasn't trying to change a law. She was trying to reanalyze the original text in order to find the truth that women should be clergy, which I think is badass, honestly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So, like, she says this. She says, quote, God planted in our heart skills and a vocation without asking about gender. Therefore, it is the duty of men and women alike to work and create according to the skills given by God. Okay. Does she even know what she's doing right now? I love her.
No, it's just common sense. She's like, it's right here in text.
Right. Right. So her thesis, she did it in 1930. And she poses the question, quote, can women serve as rabbis? That was her thesis. She drew on, I'm not going to go into it, but she used all kinds of like, what we would say like echt Jewish text, right? Like she dove deep. Now, a copy of this document has been preserved and can be found at the Centrum Judaicum in Berlin. This paper is the first known attempt to find, it's called halachic, which is the legal corpus of Jewish law and observances. So when something is halachic, it's like very, historically
or sacred?
Sacred. Yeah, that's a word. Basis for the ordination of women. So essentially, she started the whole idea that women could be rabbis.
Really?
Yes. And nobody knew it until very, very recently. So this is when like other sects of Judaism were starting. So the Reform Temple would have accepted her because Reform doesn't use a halachic basis for things. They're just like, you know what? A rabbi in the 2nd century does not need to tell me what I can do. But and that's kind of, maybe like where I might stand on these things, but it's okay. You'll never meet two Jews who agree on anything.
You said that. I did not.
It's a fact, though. It's a fact. And so she wanted to say, no, I want every sect of Judaism to understand that women could be rabbis. Yes, girl. Because when you and I probably agree on this one, when women are denied levels of power in any structure, anywhere, not even just religion, anywhere, right? It allows the men to live their patriarchal wet dream. I said it. And that is
not wet dream. My Lord. Ew, that sounds messy. I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry. Resist. It is very messy in so many ways. And so, yes, break the barriers everywhere. I love her. Does she know? I don't think she knows how good she is. So she makes a brilliant argument. She passes, like the rabbi who gave her her thesis a grade of good, which meant you could be a rabbi. However, he died. And so couldn't ordain her. Now, most of these rabbis, right, were like, we like you, but like, are you going to be a rabbi? Like a rabbi with like your boobs and everything? It was very uncomfortable for them.
Your lady brain?
Lady brains? Can they rabbis? Yes. So finally, on December 27th, 1935, Rabbi Max Dienemann of Offenbach agreed to do it. And he wrote, she has passed the exam I have given her in religious legal topics. And then he added, I testify to her that she is capable to answer questions of religious law and that she is suitable to serve as a rabbi. So, okay, y'all, ceiling shattered. 2,000 years of no female rabbis. Now, female rabbi.
Wow.
I know, right?
In 1930? Is it still 1930?
Yeah, 1930.
Okay.
1930.
Wow.
So, surprise, no synagogue would hire her, right? Surprise? Anyone?
There's the rub. There's the rub. Yep.
So, yeah. So she taught, but she joined the Jewish community of Berlin to minister to Jews in hospitals and old age homes. And she also found work in women's prisons. Okay. So Elisa Klapheck, who is also a rabbi, like in modern times, she wrote a book about her called Fräulein Rabbiner Jonas, the story of the first woman rabbi, in 2004. And she was able to interview some of her students, which gives us an idea kind of who she was, like what she was like.
Yeah.
And they said that she was very modern in her teaching style. That she wrote a Hanukkah play and she mounted a production every year. Did I tell you that I was the third Hanukkah candle in the 5th grade Hanukkah play?
No, I bet you were adorable.
I was really good. Like, I don't want to brag, but I felt so many. I would have been the shamash, but there was one girl who was even smaller than me because I had to pick her up. The shamash is the candle that you light all the other candles with. So they had to so,
Oh, gotcha.
And I was so small, but one person happened to be like that much smaller, whatever. It's fine. I'm not bitter. Okay. And they describe her oratorical skills and sonorous voice as being very powerful. They describe her as very pious, very devoted, and very, very serious. Some thought, you know what? Some would say that she was eccentric, but I don't think she was I will say that they said that, but then I'm here to be like, was she eccentric because she was female? Was that her eccentricness? Or maybe because she was good? Oh.
Who knows?
So unfortunately, Germany was Germanying, as we know. And the Nuremberg laws.
Here we go.
Yep. We know it's coming. It's very sad. The Nuremberg laws, if you don't know, they excluded Jews from German society. So this happened I don't remember the date, but something like 10 years, 8 years before the war, where Jews were not allowed to go to school. Jews were not allowed to go to many stores, or there were hours in which it was bad. So a lot of rabbis left, a lot of Jews left. I wish they all did, but here we are. But she wouldn't leave. She said, no, my people need me here. So she stayed. And in the spring of 1939, she wrote a rabbinical commentary in a Jewish newspaper that the Nazi persecution was, quote, a trial by fire, testing the strength of our love for children, gratitude, the mutual support of family and friends in these alien conditions. I'm like, run, girl, run. But she didn't listen to me. And in November of 1942, she also had a mother that she did not feel comfortable leaving, I should say.
Obviously.
And there was a lot of people had a lot of reasons. But they were both deported to, the name of the concentration camp is long, Theresienstadt. You know what's sad, Lavetta? I was in a play when I was in college called I Never Saw Another Butterfly. And it takes place in that concentration camp. And I still can't pronounce it, which,
wow.
Don't tell my director.
Wow.
It was in Czechoslovakia.
Yeah.
So this camp was designed to be a model camp to show other people so that they can make it look like the camps were not so cruel. So in this camp, they had schools for the kids. I mean, it was still cruel. Please don't get me wrong, right? There were literally just no gas chambers. But so what they did was they used it as a stopping off point. to other things. So she would greet arrivals by train. She would counsel them. She would minister to them. Do you say minister? Rabbinister to them. Do you see what I did there?
Yeah,
okay.
That's what you did there.
Thank you. And unfortunately, she was then deported to Auschwitz, and October 12th, 1944, and they believe she died the day she arrived. And what's crazy is that there were male counterparts to her life that knew her, knew what she did, knew her story, and didn't tell her story. So there were documents that made their way to an archive of German Jews where they sat untouched for almost 50 years, behind the Iron Curtain, right? And it was unearthed by a German religion scholar, Katharina von Kellenbach, after the Berlin Wall fell. And she uncovered her story and published an article in 1994. 1994, that's 50 years later. But now there's a children's book, there's a documentary film, there's an opera about her. She's memorialized at Theresienstadt. I will work on that. And at Yad Vashem. And the Jewish Museum in Berlin. So now they look at her as the first female rabbi, but nobody knew this for so long.
Wow.
And that is her story.
And that's amazing. And that's, I'm sorry.
Her name, I want to say that also she's memorialized by the Notorious Women podcast. Okay.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. That's right.
Regina Jonas is her name.
Regina Jonas. Wow. Like, that's why it's also important to preserve history, even recent history. Like, that's not that long ago. Like, what, 60? We're looking at 60, 70 years now.
60, 70. Time keeps flying.
70 years.
70
I know,
years.
right? 70 years ago. But 10 years after she perished, people forgot about her, like, right?
Yeah.
Like, and it took what did you say, 50 years?
50 years
to like actually tell her story, and like people just like, oh, it's not important. It's like, it's always important.
It's always important. It's it's the most important. You know, like our humanity depends on it, I feel.
Knowledge is important. That's why people who don't want knowledge to get out should be suspect, and you should kick them down a deep dark well. But
Lavetta,
I digress.
They're not suspect now. They're sus. Okay?
They're
sus.
I'm sorry.
Listen,
I'm not cool enough to say sus. They're sus now. I feel like you have to say that with like a surfer accent. Like, they're sus, dude. They're sus.
Listen, when my 9-year-olds said, "Mom, that's sus," and I went, "What?" I realized that day that I was old and no longer could contribute to society. So
everybody's old to a 9-year-old. Okay, it's like, listen here, kid.
What did you just say? Sus. And Sal goes, suspect. And I was like, my God, kids today.
People literally have cars that are older than you that are they're probably still paying on, depending on where they live in the country. So simmer down, kid. Simmer down.
Okay. That's a fact.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that story. That's amazing. One thing about this podcast we love is that, Notorious has all kinds of meanings. It could be, for Regina, who did something very heroic. And mine is not so heroic. But it's also tragic in so many ways. So my Notorious woman this week is Brenda Ann Spencer. Does that name sound familiar?
Wow. I feel like it does, but I don't know why.
It's heartbreaking, the reason why. So,
what'd she do?
Some of my main sources came from the San Diego Police Historical Society website, InsideEdition.com, and various news reports. So, so Brenda Ann Spencer was born on April 3rd, 1967 in San Diego, California.
Okay.
Now, not a lot is known about her mother, which is very odd, especially during that time, but she apparently lived in poverty with her father, Wallace Spencer, when her parents divorced. So we still don't know what happened to her mother. I don't know if she passed or For whatever reason, she was unable to take care of Brenda, but Brenda lived with her father, Wallace. And she attended school. She sort of, after what happened, they had to backtrack to get some information on her. But at the time of the incident, she was actually attending Patrick Henry High School, where one instructor remembers her asking her if she was awake in class on a regular basis. So she lived in poverty with a single father who was at the best just negligent, at the worst abusive. I'm just going to set that up. So,
oh God, I think I know who
we all went
is. Okay.
Yeah, we all went to school with those kids who came to school kind of smelly and dirty, and like you just wonder what was going on at school, at home. So now she also, during her growing up, she suffered a temporal lobe injury, which was revealed during an examination while she was in detention. So she was a truant teen, as they would call them back then. And they said that she had fallen off of her bike, and that was the reason she got the temporal lobe injury to her head.
So the next time my kids want to know why they have to wear a helmet when they bike, I'll just mention that. Cool.
Yeah. So she also was acting out. And again, her father didn't really take her to the hospital after that. He just sort of like, he's, again, the
Holy
worst.
crap.
So
really?
He's just probably like, walk it off. I mean, it's 1970. So he's like, walk it off, kid, walk it off. That's what they used to do back then to kids.
Cold tap.
Now, basically, put some ice on it. So she was acting out. She was stealing, like, typical vandalism. She was considered, like I said, a truant, troubled adolescent. Okay. So she was sent to a detention center, but initially, they sent her to a mental hospital for depression after she had a psychiatric evaluation. Yeah. So she was a teenager and she had been acting out. And it's like, you go to you have detention at school. You're going to go to this home. And so, but a probation officer in 1978, after conducting an evaluation, thought, there's something else going on here. It's not just like a troubled kid acting out. Okay. So this probation officer sent her to a mental hospital for depression, to get actual help. Okay. And, but the father, she was taken out of that after the father refused to give authorization. So the probation officer thought there was enough need to send her to a mental hospital to actually get like actual therapy, treatment, proper, probably medical attention. Yeah. And her father said no. So, because Wallace, her father, is the father of the year, he instead, after this incident in December of 1978, decided to give his daughter a Ruger 10-22 semi-automatic 22 caliber rifle.
This is who I thought you were going to talk about. Okay. Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's do this.
Because by all accounts, she liked guns. She liked that was one of the few activities that she and her father did. They would go hunting. So I guess he's like, kid, walk it off. Ain't nothing wrong with you, right? Ain't nothing wrong with you. Just here you go. And
this gun will solve your problems.
It'll solve your problems. And here are 500 rounds of ammo to go along with it.
Wow. Now, did they bronze his Father of the Year award, or was it gold lame?
It was gold lame.
That makes sense. Okay.
Now, so
you're just like this.
Afterwards, after what happens, Brenda says, "Why do you think your father got you a rifle?" And she said, "Quote, he bought the rifle so I would kill myself." End quote.
Jesus.
So here is a young girl who is probably been, raised in poverty, no sort of structure that young children need as they grow up. No, probably not getting proper nutrition. She's just not getting love that she needs. She's not, and she's a girl. She's probably, who knows, like how when she got her period, like he probably had no kind of talk with her.
She probably went through hell growing up. Yeah.
So she had always kind of been like it kind of makes me think of like a wild child. As a little girl, that's cute. She's a tomboy, She and her father actually liked guns together, and they would go shooting. they would go hunting or whatever. Again, these people live in the California area, so it's not like they live in like Colorado in the woods.
Yeah,
okay?
like
So
honestly, like I'm like wondering where they're going hunting, but okay.
Yeah. I mean, there's places in California, but again, this is not in the middle of the woods. So he gave her this gift in Christmas of 1978. In January of 1979, so the following year.
Wait a minute.
Just about a month.
How old is she?
She is 16
Okay.
in January. So on January 29th, she was 16 at the time, 1979, she called in sick to high school, and she posted herself by her window in her home and took out the rifle that her father gave her and proceeded to shoot randomly across the street to the elementary school.
Shit.
Where children were waiting outside for the principal to open the gates.
Oh my God.
So she just gets up. She starts shooting. And at first, one of the reports they were talking to the kids, and the kids said, at first we thought it was like a joke or because they were like, surely no one's maybe a BB gun or surely no one's shooting at us, right?
Yeah.
And thank God there were some adults there. So the kids have been waiting for the principal, and the principal's name was Burton Ragg with the W to open the gate. So, but once the kids realized that they were shooting, that there was somebody shooting, they started to scamper. And then Principal Burton Ragg, along with a custodian by the name of Michael Sucher, went into action, and they started shielding the children. They hid behind anything that they could find. They shielded all the children. Thankfully, none of the children were shot.
Thank God.
But both Burton and Michael were killed.
Oh.
Yeah. 8 of the children were injured, and it could have been just scrapes, but they were not. These men were truly heroic.
Yeah.
But the shooting lasted about 15 minutes.
Oh my God.
Yeah. 15 minutes. After 30 rounds. So she had shot 30 rounds from this gun that her father had given to her for Christmas instead of letting her check into a mental institution for troubled teens. Obviously, they called the cops. People were freaking out. This is 1979. So after the 30 rounds, she stopped, and then SWAT showed up.
Yeah.
An emergency negotiation team showed up. And she then barricaded herself because, again, keep in mind, they don't know where it's coming from. You thinking gunshot, you think it's some madman.
Right.
They have no idea where it's coming from. Maybe somebody is hiding in the woods nearby. They're trying to, because there's different houses around, so they're trying to figure out what's going on.
Oh my God.
And once they figured out, they pinpointed the house it was coming from. She barricaded herself inside.
Okay, I have a question.
And then they tried to. No, go ahead.
Where's her daddy? Where's Daddy Dearest?
Daddy's not there. He's probably at work.
Oh, yeah, of course.
He had gone to work, and she said that she wasn't feeling well. So again, this is not a child with a lot of parameters.
No.
It sounds like the kind of thing, if he found out that he really didn't care if she went to school, but if he found out she didn't go to school, he'd probably smack her versus being like, why didn't you go to school? What's going on? Are you not feeling well? It's that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So they call in the SWAT, emergency negotiations, and they start to negotiate with her. It lasted for 7 hours.
Oh my God.
So she finally came out. Brenda finally came out peacefully. And then they went in to search the house. So when officers go in to search the house, they found a single mattress on the living room floor. No other bed.
Oh, wait, what?
So she's sleeping on a mattress with her father.
Oh, no.
Whiskey bottles cluttered throughout the rooms and throughout the home. But reports say that she didn't appear to be intoxicated, so it's probably from the dad. They had long assumed that he was an alcoholic. Now, after this incident on January 29th, 1979, it was revealed that she had shot at the school before 1 year earlier. Perhaps that was the incident that finally took her, that the the detention center officer actually talked to her because she had been in and out of detention for troubled youth, but it could have been that incident. This is just so bizarre. And so, now we live in an age, unfortunately, that school shootings are very common.
Sucks.
But in 1979, they were not. And people were just like, what is going on?
At least they were horrified.
So she had shot at the school when it was... At least they were horrified.
Right.
So she had shot at the school before, but when it was empty, she just shot out some windows. She damaged windows. And she had also been arrested for like burglary. Maybe she was looking for money because I have a feeling her father didn't really give her money.
Probably not.
And eventually she was given. So she was on probation when she did this in 1979 versus 1978.
Okay.
But because of the seriousness of this crime, shooting at actual children and killing 2 people, she was arrested, and prosecutors planned to try her as an adult because she was 16.
I mean, you know what? Fuck her. I'm sorry.
And it's so odd because when you see her, she looks so just like a timid, shy 16-year-old with like red hair, long hair, and these like glasses that were very 1979. Oh, yeah. Some people say they were serial killer glasses, but she was a 16-year-old girl, so with glasses.
Listen, I will say, they did not do right by her. I hear you. Her father probably abused her, shitty, but put the gun down. I just what the fuck?
But also, you shot and killed 2 people. So,
fuck off.
And in the end, she pled guilty to 2 counts of murder and assault with a deadly weapon. On April 4th, 1980, so the following year, she was sentenced to prison for 25 years.
Wow.
At the time of this, of now, she is currently at the California Institution for Women in Corona, California. But she's moved throughout now. So I'm going to get to that. So she served 25 years. So that would have been 2025, right? 20.
No, wait, if this was 1980.
Oh, that'd be 2005. You're right. Yeah. 2005. So So I'm getting to it now.
Okay.
So she would be eligible for parole. Who knows how they added stuff in, depending on what her behavior was inside. But at the time, she was an actual model prisoner because she was only 16.
Yeah.
And it's probably the first time she ever got steady food and a place to sleep by herself.
I mean, part of me is just put her in the mental institute where she should have gone in the first place.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm not a fan of jails in general, the way our country does especially it. It's some bullshit. And so for a 16-year-old, she's not going to get better. She's not going to get better.
Now, she obviously, what happens once, you're 16, you do this. And then as you get older, you hit 26, 36, you start to realize what you have done.
Yeah.
But in 1993, so she would have been 29.
Yeah.
She claimed that she had been under the influence of PCP and alcohol when she opened fire. So it's kind of and that she said that the state and her attorney conspired to hide the drug test results. But both former prosecutor Charles Patrick and her former attorney Michael McClellan, vehemently deny that they had hidden any evidence in the case. I don't think, why would they want to hide that? If anything, they'd want to present that to get her some leniency and maybe only 10 years or what have you. But
totally,
it just sounds like, not wanting to take full responsibility. I get you were 16, but you also knew it was wrong to shoot at people. So it's not like you're mentally ill and you don't know that. So now at a parole hearing in 2001, she claimed that her violence was a result of an abusive home life, including sexual abuse.
I believe it.
Again, I don't doubt that actually.
I actually feel like it's obvious at this point.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
I mean, allegedly.
Come at me for this.
Yeah. Now, the parole board chairman, it's dude, it's kind of like what we're saying. He expressed doubt at this, but I'm it's kind of obvious. One, one mattress in, like, your father didn't even think enough of you to get you your own mattress on the floor?
Cheap ass mattress in the 70s. I know you can find one for $30 somewhere. Okay.
Yeah. Not even like, yeah.
Yeah. In the 70s, the $7.
But I think also the reason why she has been denied parole even today is because when you go in there, you have to admit guilt.
Yes.
She's come up for numerous parole hearings. And in 2022, she was denied and barred for applying for 3 years.
Wow.
Now, at that time, at that time, she was incarcerated at California Institute in Chino.
Now,
California.
I have a question. If she got 25 years in like 1979, why is she still, they just added things, you think?
Yeah, usually when you, from what I know from my own personal family experience, if you do things inside, you can get stuff added to your...
So she must have done a lot of things inside.
Or it could be, you never know. It's hard to tell because you never know how harshly they run those things. Because like you said, does incarceration cure, reform people, or does it just...
No, it doesn't.
Make them... Right.
I'll just say no. I think we could like solidly say that.
Yeah.
So
and also then if you're going in there and you're like, oh, this is why this happened versus like, I take full responsibility, like
right.
You're not going to get parole. So they just keep sending you back. And then, like I said, in 2022, she was denied. And that was during the pandemic for applying for 3 years.
Damn.
And so now this incident famously led to a hit song. I didn't even look up the group because I think it's kind of in poor taste to be inspired by this, that this young girl killed 2 people and was trying to kill children. But when asked why she did it, she said, "I don't like Mondays." So there's a famous song inspired by that. Yeah. Now,
go on.
I just wanted to follow up. I'm almost finished. So, like, this is one of the most famous early school shootings in America. And now we're known for it throughout the world, right?
Yeah.
After Columbine. But almost exactly 10 years later, there was another school shooting at another school named Cleveland Elementary. And this was in Stockton, California.
Okay.
5 students were killed and 29 were injured. The event was a grim reminder to the survivors of the 1979 shooting. Now, I didn't look this up, but I have a feeling, because I seem to remember this with my Black Panther kind of stuff, but California had an open carry policy of guns in the 70s.
Yes, we did.
So, again, we're not in Colorado. We're not in like where there's like, I mean, California does have like rural and like hunting and forest, but it's a very big state, but not in Stockton, California. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Like, it's not. Now, that school where this shooting happened, San Diego's Cleveland Elementary School, was closed in 1983. So 4 years later, along with a dozen other schools around the city due to declining enrollment.
Okay.
In the ensuing decades, it was leased to several different charter and private schools. The site currently houses the Magnolia Science Academy, a public charter middle school serving students grades 6 through 9.
Okay.
So it's a middle school, whereas before it was an elementary school. So she was shooting at like 6, 7, 8-year-olds.
Ugh, sucks.
Like,
she's a dick.
Girl,
like
So that is Brenda Ann Spencer, one of the first shooters of a famous school shooting in America in 1979.
See, y'all, women can be anything. Okay.
Yeah. So that, I mean, it's also it also reminds me of, again, like, it was so new, it was so horrifying. It kind of reminds me of like, did you ever see a documentary? I saw this documentary on like the aspirin scare, or like when people were poisoning like medications.
Yes.
And that's why we have like
lock.
Medicine bottles. Yeah, we have it, or we have it the lock, or it's sealed. Because it used to be you could literally open it and there was just like a cotton thing in there, and people could like poison, or like people could tamper with stuff, and like it's just like we were so naive in a lot of ways. Like, you never thought that you need to add security to certain things, and you certainly don't think you need to add security to an elementary school.
Yeah, but now you really do.
But now, as for you guys who don't know, I'm back in Florida just helping out with some family issues. And I went back to my old high school and, just to see it. It still looks pretty much the same, except there's fences. Like one thing I loved about my school is that it was very open. Like, there was kind of like a guard at the front, but it wasn't. It's pretty open. Like it's because it doesn't, when it rains, it doesn't really rain that long. It basically looks like the high school from 90210. Like, so it's very open and palm trees and all that other stuff. When I went back, it was so sad. It's like chain link fence around all of the open spots that we used to have. Yeah. Like where we could just sit out there and just hang out. Everything is locked up. And these kids are literally being locked in. And the thing is that they don't know the difference. I know the difference because when I went there, it was completely open. We had so much freedom, and they don't know the difference. Yeah, they have to be locked inside. And then what if they're locked inside with one of their? I didn't even see the. I'm sure there's like a metal detector, like. Yeah. And it's so sad that kids have to live like this. And it doesn't matter what part of the city that it's in. Nope. It could be a rich school. It could be a poor school. Kids have to worry about being shot.
Listen, what pisses me off is that it doesn't have to be like this. It doesn't. It's unnecessary. But we don't seem to be able to pass common sense laws that stop guns from getting in other people's hands. I mean, like, I'm one of those people. I'm one of those like wild, crazy liberals that are like, just like burn all the guns. Like, just like let them disappear. Just everyone bring your gun to like the bonfire, right? And then no more guns. But like, I guess no one's going to like put that on a ballot for me to vote for. Yeah, I
mean, listen, I have had the urge to shoot a motherfucker in the face. Some people need to be shot in the face.
But you can punch him. You can punch him.
I'm a big fan of mace.
Mace is good. There's options.
Mace is good. And that's the thing in America, like, for those of you who may be outside of the States and listening to us, like, even most Americans are like, yeah, you should not be able to get a gun without a background check. Yeah. And if you have any history of mental illness or violence, you should have an even longer waiting period or be denied access to a gun. You should not be able to go and buy a semi-automatic weapon to hunt. Like, yep. Yeah,
and also people are like, if you can't get them legally, people will get them illegally. So is cocaine legal now because of your theory? Is that because people do cocaine and it ain't legal? Listen, okay.
Now why cocaine in it? Why you gotta bring cocaine into the gun problem? No, I'm just kidding.
Well, you're rather defensive.
Guns killing way more people than cocaine is.
That's right.
Okay.
And listen, if you die from cocaine, you chose to do cocaine. If I die from a gunshot, someone else chose to hurt me. You know what I'm saying? Please don't hurt me. Thank you.
That part. Like, and there's so many gun shootings. Like, we just had another one when some guy just went to a bowling alley or something. Ugh. There's so many that we're just like.
You're almost numb to it, which is stupid.
You're numb to it. And I mean, but it's still like children. Like, and I'm not even a parent. Like, I can only imagine the stress you go under sending your little ones out to a school.
Denial.
Okay, yeah. I mean,
also paranoia. And escape plans like wherever you go.
Like Uvalde, like what happened there? Like the kids, it wasn't even from inside the school. Some asshole that just came there. Yeah. And decided he wanted, who wants to shoot little children? Like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Those motherfuckers should die. I'll say it. Those motherfuckers should die.
Like 21 or like, and then she didn't even have to leave her house. Like, she's just shooting across the street. She literally lived across the street from the school. So
I'm not like mad that she's still in jail. I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting when you see her different shots of her throughout the years. Like, she went in there as like a little
kid.
Like a kid. Like, she looks like a kid. She looks small. When her sentence was announced, she didn't really say anything, but her attorney said that she's terrified. Of course she's terrified because she's 16. Yeah. She has no idea. And then you see her go into adulthood and then middle age now, but she killed 2 people, and I always find it really young killers terrifying because they don't quite know what they're doing.
I mean, your frontal lobe doesn't fully form for a while, but enough. We've all been 16, right?
Well, you know enough that if you've used this gun to shoot squirrels,
you know what it does to the squirrels.
So it's going to do something similar to adults. Mm-hmm. And then once you shot one person,
you keep going,
and then you shot another person, you shot 30 times, 30 rounds.
Yeah. So what happened to her father? Do we know?
No, he obviously had some remorse. He was upset.
Yeah, better.
When she was, but it's just no, he went on and died. I can only imagine he's no fucking help.
No, he's no fucking up at all.
People like that are even worse in a crisis. When you really need them to show up for you, those motherfuckers are worse. They get worse, and you're just I'm glad I'm in here and not behind, and not having to live with you. I could just only imagine. I'm fascinated by the nature of her relationship with her father throughout the years. Did he go through oh, kiddo, I'm sorry you're in here, because I gave you the fucking gun, even though I should have just let you go to the
I think he should be arrested also.
Well, there's that.
Arrest his ass.
Because if he had let her go to the home,
none of this would have happened. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's not to take responsibility away from her actions, but she was 16.
Let me tell you why he didn't want her to go to the home. Because he didn't want them to find out what he was doing to her. That's why he didn't want her to go to the home.
Yep.
So he needs to be arrested and his penis cut off. I don't think I'm exaggerating a thing.
No. I wonder what happened to her mom and other family members, or teachers. Can you imagine if you're a teacher and you find out, because even if it's a troubled kid, you're yeah, that kid's stole something, but shooting children?
Yeah. That's
a whole nother can of worms. But that is Brenda Ann Spencer, one of the notorious, one of the early notorious American school shooters.
Damn, Lavetta, what a day.
Elementary school. I know. I'm sorry. Your lady's I'm trying to save people and comfort people in a concentration camp. And mine's I'm trying to shoot 6-year-olds from my window. I'm sorry.
We bring the variety of humanity to the people.
Yes, we do. Well, I guess on that note, we are going to wrap it up for another episode of Notorious Women Podcast. Guys, remember to follow us on all the things. Also, please give us a 5-star review in the Apple Store if you can. Also, if you want to help us, give us a little cash, support the show, because Christmas coming up.
Christmas coming.
I'm a need. See, you see I go into the jive.
Oh, do you speak jive too?
I speak jive.
That's funny. I've studied it in college.
You studied jive? How many levels of jive did you study?
I'm just finishing level 1 now, but I think I'm ready for level 2.
Yep.
I use the whitest voice I can possibly find. I hope you enjoyed it.
What is the way? I always go to fake British. I speak jive.
Oh my God.
But I'm a need for emphasis. This is how Southern people do it. We always mispronounce things for emphasis. I'm a need at least $10 in my chocolate fund for the holidays.
Oh, yeah, she does. This is facts.
I'm going to need this to get through visiting family and also being in Florida. I'm going to need I don't drink.
No.
So I'm going to need something to help me. It's got to be chocolate.
And y'all, maybe $15 for her because we need maybe some lint. You know what I'm saying? Some Godiva.
Oh, the good stuff. The good stuff.
You know.
Fancy. You fancy.
Listen, you know I'm fancy. Okay.
But all joking aside, if you want to support the show, you can do that at our Patreon at patreon.com. That's patreon.com/notoriouswomen. And Miriam, where else can they find us and give us a shout out? Show us some love.
You can come to Instagram. It's so easy. It's Notorious Women Podcast. Please find us there. We're fun. I like the memes. They're fun, but like the fun memes. The ones where you can like repost it and be like, this is why we need feminism. God damn it. Yeah. You know, those ones that make you feel better. Just like, okay, got that off my chest. I can move on. Also TikTok. TikTok. We can't afford that song.
Tickety-tock, because I have to say it like an old Southern lady. The tickety-tock.
Tickety-tock. Is that good?
Yeah.
Is that old and Southern?
That's terrible.
No, I know. I apologize.
You have to always do foghorn leghorn. I done told you. I say, boy, I say. Boy, I say. Listen to me with
tickety-tock.
I say.
All right. That was really bad. That was worse, I think. And that also is Notorious Women Podcast on TikTok. And you can email us at notoriouswmpod@gmail.com with any thoughts or ideas or questions. And that is
Notorious ladies that you want to recommend.
Yes.
Right? So we welcome that. You can also DM us, but only if you sexy and if you're not dumb.
No dumb.
No dumb. Like, if you think the world is flat, don't do it. Don't do it.
It's a good. Or if it occurs to you that maybe it's flat because you saw a meme somewhere, don't. No, she's not interested. It's okay.
No, we gonna clown you. I might have to clown you with the foghorn leghorn accent. I say, boy, don't do this. But it's all in fun. All right, guys. Thank you so much again for following us and supporting us and downloading us.
And if my math is correct, is it Thanksgiving while you're listening to this podcast?
No, we have one more week. It's the following week, I think.
Listen, I think I'm wrong. So happy Thanksgiving era. Okay, we're like Taylor Swift here, but Thanksgiving. Okay.
Happy pre-Thanksgiving Eras. Is it Eras? How do you say it? Eras? Eras. I don't know.
I don't know.
Go Tay-Tay. She's getting people out to registering people to vote. That's what I'm talking about, girl. She's
great. Also, I went to the movie version of her concert. It was so fun. Anyways.
Oh, yeah. We love Tay-Tay. So, all right, guys. We will see you next week. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.